Good afternoon and welcome to the FX Daily Roundup. And we've seen the dollar CAD going to make a pretty good sizable move on that Canadian data. We had already seen a pretty good rebound yesterday after we came about, I think it's a 6 ticks or something like that away from hitting the week's target, which was 31.84. We saw quite the rebound, and we even added on to that. We had our bias chart resistance today at 33.03. We even got beyond that. The stretch level would be here at 33.36 because we've already come so far. So you think they wouldn't be able to push it too much further. Bear with me while I mute the squawk. We have seen equities rebound a bit from the lows that we saw overnight. You can see here in the S&Ps, a nice comeback, but we're just holding here around this area here. We've got good volume up to about 31.18. I think that they're just kind of holding here, and the potential is we may even start to roll over. Once again, I'm looking for a little bit of a slide going forward here on that. We've also seen the bonds going in come back up. Obviously, we're looking here at yields here, obviously inverse relationship, and also on the Dow future. Same thing, they've come off their lows, but they're just like the S&Ps, basically marking time in this area, although I think potentially we can start to work lower as the week goes on by. NASDAQ did actually do a 61% retracement. We kind of faded from there, and we're just kind of holding our own here. But I still feel like suspect just feels like as if we're going to start to weaken, but we shall see. There's no need to necessarily rush in, but that's my thoughts there on that. Getting back to FX, we have seen the euro continue to remain weak overall. We did make another run up there to 1080. That's the bias chart resistance. That's been the bias chart resistance all week long. And although we got above it on Monday to 1090, we weren't able to go and close above it. That's the key. Need to close above that. And dollar yen, we've already seen a pretty good dip, but I think, like I said, with dollar yen, this market, I believe, like I said, is going to be moving lower if we do go and get that pullback in equities. And I mentioned it yesterday. I think potentially we can make it all the way down to 105 here, but we, shall let it go and play out right now. But like I said, right now they're having a tough time trying to maintain any gains up in here. I think right now, once we get past these equities start to slide, we'll start to see things start to continue to weaken here on dollar yen. Dollar peso has gone and moved a little bit higher up in here. It's really nothing that, other than just what we've seen here in the equities, nothing that I necessarily would get excited my own self. For those who want to trade it, like I said, to me, you can see once we broke out, we turned around and failed. We did below the pivot. Now we've kind of added on to those gains. To me, I think there's other better places to be putting your money here. But like you said, for those that want to trade it, certainly can go and do it. Bias chart resistance we had today was 1943, I believe, and we're above that right now. So we do have this level up here at 1956. See whether or not we can go and make it there. Other than that, not really a whole lot to talk about. Aussie dollars continue to weaken lower. The main push in here, the main market really is the equities. We have seen crude oil rebound in here. We do have some resistance coming up. I was mentioning 57.27, but we also have it at 57.37. So keep an eye on that. But although we've had a heck of a rebound, you can see on the 2-hour chart, they set a nice hammer bottom, and we added on, and crude's tendencies is to go in and run over one way or the other, run you over on the downside, run you over on the upside. So that's about it there. As I said, honestly, not really a whole lot happening other than what's happening in equities. It's kind of a balancing of the move that we've already seen. Cable is just kind of holding steady here. Not really any big news. Cash dollar index, we had our bias chart resistance at 98. We did poke our heads above it a little bit, but nothing of any substance of any note. Dollar yen coming back a bit. Aussie dollar remains weak. What else is new there? and euro, like I said, we made a little bit of a dash up to 1080, but we rolled over. So once again, like I said, there's really not a whole lot of news if you look at it as far as in FX. If we were to take a look here in the cross rates, that's actually been pretty quiet too. If you look at the Kiwi yen, we're looking right now at the Aussie yen here, but there's just some of these pairs are just very, very, very quiet. Euro yen trying to make another push back up towards this resistance here at 2040, but other than that, not really a whole lot that I necessarily see. Only thing is we have seen the guppy going and pair back a bit here. We were right there trading at 140. Looked like we may bolt higher, but sterling pairs ended up pairing back a bit. Seeing the same thing in sterling odd, but we're seeing sterling odd move higher here, and I think that's more of a note as far as the weakness that we're seeing outright in Aussie, as opposed to any strength in the sterling. That is sterling versus the odd. Like I said, relatively quiet day other than what's happening in equities, and even equities are kind of holding their own. We did get that close yesterday below 31.23. That opened the door for us to move lower. We did, and then we've kind of come back here. But this is kind of like a valuation level here in the S&Ps around this 31.16 area here. So once again, I'm thinking we'll see what happens, but I still think that going forward, we'll probably see these markets going and start to weaken. Looking at January crude, we're actually at 57.32. Like I said, 57.27 was the level, and also 37. We'll see what happens here, but holding their own. And like I said, tendency I don't think people are going to try and step in front of crude necessarily, because like I said, it's still playing that game to a certain extent where they just run you over one day to the upside, the next day they run you over to the downside. Kind of paused a little bit beginning of the week, but we're just kind of holding here. That's all we have for today. Like I said, relatively quiet day as far as FX, and thanks for joining us here on the FX Daily Roundup.